I'm sorry. Yes.
Thanks. Zach Hale with S&P Global. Just had a question on E1. In comments on the proposed rule, a lot of commenters noted that NERC has multiple ongoing initiatives to address many of the concerns that were raised in the NOPR, and some commenters asked that the commission allow that work to continue. So I was just wondering, how does the final rule account for NERC's ongoing work on IBR standards?
Thank you. I think there is sort of a phased-in approach to the implementation of the rule. I will actually defer that question to staff. They're available to give you the details on exactly what the implementation plan is, but we are aware of the fact that NERC has many different ongoing initiatives regarding this. That is a testament to the fact that NERC has been working on this issue, and they're on the case, and we look forward to seeing what NERC provides in response to our directive today. Here, then here.
Thank you. Maya Weber, also with S&P Global Commodity Insights. I had a question on the GTN project, which has been pending for some time, and that docket has been notable for some of the forceful arguments from the state AGs in Washington, Oregon, et cetera, that this would be conflicting with the state climate goals and targets and strongly discouraging from approving them. So I'm just wondering how you sorted that out and how did you kind of answer those kind of arguments?
Thank you for the question. First of all, we are aware of the many different stakeholders who weighed in on the GTN project. With that being said, and I thank all of the stakeholders, and especially the government representatives and the senators who weighed in. We're also aware that there's legislation, and state legislation, on the record, which is intended to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and greenhouse gas emissions. With that being said, we have to act upon the record. And in the record in this proceeding, there was no evidence presented that this project would significantly increase greenhouse gas emissions. And in fact, it is fully subscribed through agreements. We also know that those agreements go to at least half of the GTN output will go to Idaho and utilities in Idaho. And that state supports the project. So we considered and balanced all of this information that's available on the record. And we determined, the commission determined, that this project was needed, and therefore we supported its approval. Thank you. Bashing the mic here.
Hi, thanks. Tom Tiernan with Energy Daily. Question on A10, the NERC budget, which is not in the summary, but I'm guessing that order approves the budget request as was filed. I wonder if you could address, it was a significant budget increase from the previous year, and that gets assigned to customers across the country. I was wondering if you often talk about reliability as job one, but also reconciling costs and higher expenses. If you address that in the order, or how do you square the higher budget for NERC and the expenses being sent to customers?
Thanks for the question. I will say that I don't necessarily agree with the characterization that it's a significant increase. I think it is an appropriate increase. We, of course, consider that when we approve any NERC budget, and it's detailed in the order what our considerations were and why we approved the budget. But I believe that NERC has proven, and let me take a step back. We have made reliability here at FERC job number one. And in every single commission meeting since I've taken over as chairman, we have taken a significant step to address reliability. I would argue that we've shifted the narrative throughout the industry to focus on reliability as job number one. Because of that, NERC has increased work to do the directives that we have put out in the process of every single month, hammering on the importance of reliability. And I think you see that reflected in their budget. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take questions from reporters online. Tom, if you read the news release that we made a mention of it in the news release, so we didn't ignore that. Just for the record. Anybody raise your hand if you want to ask a question? Oh, okay, Keith Goldberg, Law 360.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we
Yes, we can
can.
hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks again for holding this. Going back to the decisions today made on the gas projects. I know everybody's kind of like still waiting to see if there's going to be any sort of movement on pipeline approval policy, but I'm just curious, with um, several of FERC's decisions on these projects are currently being challenged in court, maybe in the DC circuit, and I was just curious if you believe and you hope potentially. I know you can't comment on specific individual cases, but sort of in general that the DC circuit with some of the decisions it's poised to make will provide some additional sort of guidance on how the commission should, maybe craft its pipeline approval policy, specifically when it comes to the evaluation of greenhouse gas emissions and climate change impacts.
Thank you for the question, Keith. First of all, let me say, with the precedent that we have now in front of us, we believe that the Commission is applying it and applying it appropriately and correctly. And I think that that shows in the record that we have before the DC Circuit, which I believe is a pretty good record. Let me be clear. No commissioner, no regulator wants to be overturned. But to the extent that the DC Circuit or the courts can provide clarity on what is required, I think that would be a good thing. And so while I welcome that additional clarity, I also believe that FERC is doing what is required to do, and FERC is working the way it should work. Thank you.
Okay, next question is from James Downing of RTO Insider. James, I think you're on mute. James, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, my understanding is there's nothing in the Federal Power Act about an acting chair of FERC, and this has been come up recently in the press and some other people, other entities. So, is this job permanently yours? Have you heard from the White House at all about that, or like what? Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad to answer the question. Let me be clear. I work at the pleasure and I serve at the pleasure of the President, and I am honored to serve. On January 3rd, 2023, I was named the chairman and the leader of this agency. Nothing has changed. And I'm proud of the fact that I'm chairman. Let me tell you why. I'm proud of the fact that since I became chairman, we have done significant work to make reliability job number one. We have elevated the issue of environmental justice to be something that not just whispered about, but actually talked about and confronted by this agency and throughout our industry. But it's more than that. Let me tell you why I'm proud. I'm proud because of why I do this job to begin with. I'm proud because I know that a person like me, from a place like where I'm from, I grew up in rural Alabama, rural America. I had more red dirt on the bottom of my feet than I had shoes, because shoes were for school. You can come from there. You can go to a prestigious HBCU, like I did, Howard University. You can be the first Black man to lead this agency in the history of the country. You can do all of that. And I think that the reason why that's important is because I look at all of the people I talk to. I was just at Morehouse College 2 weeks ago. And I know that this is important because people tell me it's important to them. They see me and they know that they can do anything. And I'm proud of the fact that when I go and speak to women groups, when I speak to LGBTQ plus groups, they know that if I can do this, if I can sit in this seat, they can too. That's important. So I'm proud of the fact that I'm chairman of FERC. I'm proud of the fact that we're doing the work that we're doing. I'm also proud of the fact that I have the support of the Congressional Black Caucus to continue this work. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Jason Plotz of E&E News.
Yes, hi, thank you. Regarding G1, the GTN Express project, a letter from some of the Northwestern senators sent yesterday said that FERC didn't engage in proper and sufficient tribal consultation, specifically with the Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission. I was wondering what the response is to that, and more broadly, what do you think about the concerns about the environmental review or the environmental review process?
So I think you can take a look at our environmental NEPA documents that are included with the order, and it can detail exactly what we considered. I can tell you as chairman, I have made consultation, tribal to tribal, government to government consultation a priority. It's something I engaged in before I became chairman, and we continue to make sure that we make that a priority. Again, I would send you to the documents in the actual order when it's released.
Okay, thank you so much. Next up is Claire Rush of the Associated Press.
Yes, hello. I'm so sorry. I'm having issues with my monitor.
Oh, I can barely hear you. Can you speak up and slow down?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I'm having issues with my monitor's camera, so please excuse me. My question also relates to the letter that the senators of Oregon and Washington sent yesterday expressing concerns about TC Energy's safety records with its pipeline, its Keystone Pipeline and its Columbia Gas Transmission Pipeline, which have had incidents in the past year or so. What did FERC make of those concerns? Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure exactly if I caught right which senators you were referring to and which project, but let me say this as a general matter. Again, we take very seriously and we welcome input from our government leaders regarding our FERC process. I say in every letter that I respond to that I take their concerns seriously, and we put them in the docket. It is and always will be a part of our consideration. Thank you.
Okay, great. Any further questions from reporters here in the room?
We'll start in the middle.
Thanks, Zach Hale with S&P Global again. On C5, the Trailblazer item, just wondering what exactly did the commission decide there, and did you factor in the CO2 pipelines greenhouse gas emission impacts at all?
So there was an issue in the Trailblazer proceeding involving jurisdiction over CO2 pipelines. To be clear, it is not FERC, but the Department of Transportation and PHMSA, I mess that up every single time I say it. They have jurisdiction over the safety of CO2 pipelines. We do not, and so that's an issue. I understand that they are in the process of reviewing their regulations regarding those pipelines. As always, with all of our sister agencies, FERC will make our staff available, if requested, to provide any technical assistance to help PHMSA as they review their regulations. Thank you.
Maya Weber with S&P Global again. On G1 and G2, the Colonial Pipeline and the market-based rates, can you give any sense of why that may have been struck and whether you expect to be able to act on it notationally anytime soon?
So you're asking about the two items that were struck today.
Yeah.
So I've said this before. I control the agenda of the commission. I put items up that I am ready to vote on. It's a vote counting exercise to me. I'm trying to get to 3 all the time. With me, you have 1. I'm 1. I need 2 more. I'm trying to get to 3. Yes, sir.
Tom Tiernan with Energy Daily. Following up on that answer, last month you indicated a desire and somewhat confident to get the rehearing orders, the LNG rehearing orders voted on, and that hasn't happened, and it weren't on the agenda. I understand what you're saying with the items struck, but if you care to address the timing on those.
Glad to address it. So you may have noticed there was a colloquy between me and my colleagues at the last meeting. And at the end of that colloquy, there was a motion that was made. It did not have support. It did not have a second. But still, so that motion failed for us to address them at a meeting the following week. I then voluntarily offered to bring those two items up for a notational vote the following week. Now, I cannot talk about our internal deliberations, so I won't say anything more about that, but I will say this. We addressed both of those projects back in the spring. I think it was April. And at that time, we voted those orders out 3-1. We had 3 commissioners that supported those orders. I brought them up last month, and I brought them up again notationally because I support them. So again, this is a vote counting exercise. We're trying to get to 3. With me, you have 1. We're trying to get to 3.
So you did try to gain a notational vote?
I can't talk about our internal deliberations, but thank you for the question.
Okay, one last pass through reporters online. Anybody? All right, hearing none. Chairman, I think you're done. Thank you so much.
Good Lord willing, we'll see y'all next month. Thank you.
Now, before people run, do you guys have questions on E1? Anybody have questions on E1?
Yeah, basically just the same, the first question that I asked.
Okay. Is there anybody who can address E1 right now? David, thank you.